Good time to say hello to and welcome in our Premier League insider, David Ornstein. David, you have obviously been living with this story since the news came out last Friday. What can you share about what you've learned about what was happening behind the scenes there at Liverpool that led to this decision?
It was definitely a shock, Paul, because not even the players knew. On the morning itself, last Friday, they were called to a meeting. I think it was about 10:30 in the morning. There was one for staff as well. And this news was released at 10:36. So they really were trying to keep it in-house. I know of a few people who found out maybe the night before or 40 minutes, an hour earlier on that day. But apart from that, it was kept in an inner sanctum and it didn't slip out, which is saying something of Liverpool's process on this. Fair play, it clearly meant a lot to them and Jurgen Klopp as well. November, as he mentioned there in the interview, was when he told Fenway Sports Group, the ownership, Mike Gordon, who's the president of FSG, and he's the go-between for Liverpool as well. He talks about his exhaustion and not being able to carry on like this. Don't forget that he really suffered during the COVID period. He lost his mother then as well. There's been a bit of restructuring at Liverpool that's seen him grow in power rather than decline in power. And there's a lot of changes to the squad as well. He clearly felt this was the right time. But I'll give you some background because when I talked to a few people about this story on the day it came out, they said that the writing was on the wall, and to them, people at and around Liverpool, it wasn't an entire surprise that he was leaving full stop in the summer of 2024. It was more the timing. So I'm not trying to be wise after the event, but there were people speaking about the possibility last summer in 2023 that he would go in the summer of 2024. Some of the players were referring to this final season, as it has now panned out, as the final dance, like the Michael Jordan documentary in the Chicago Bulls, because they felt for many of these players, by virtue of age and contract status, that it wasn't going to go on for much longer, this brilliant era that Klopp had built. He signed a new contract in 2022 that would take him through to the summer of 2026, but my understanding is it was really the summer of 2025 when they were going to review the situation, and then they may have gone on for 12 more months, or they may have called it quits, and that means we were now into his final 18 months, and planning really needed to take place. It was not the easiest environment for Jurgen Klopp to work in, the way things had been going, more and more importance on his shoulders. It was also not the easiest environment for many around him. Staff members left in quite significant number during his time at the club. A lot of pressure, a lot of expectation, but he created an amazing winning environment and an era of history that will never be forgotten.
Winning a lot right now because of that in the micro, David. They have a lot of meaningful matches left to play and also 3 other competitions besides the Premier League. But let's go macro here because coming up pretty soon they'll have this massive presence to replace on the touchline and all that comes with that. So turning the page a little bit here, what's next for the club thinking about that?
Paul, the recruitment process started immediately. It is underway now. And when I say recruitment process, that begins with a new sporting director, because it's not just Jurgen Klopp as manager leaving, his whole staff is going, and also Jörg Schmadtke, who has been sporting director helping Jurgen Klopp essentially since the summer of 2023, and he will leave after this market. So that's first on the agenda. Now, I reported yesterday that Michael Edwards, the former sporting director, received a call from Mike Gordon, president of FSG, floating the idea of a return to the club, maybe in a senior position at Liverpool or within Fenway Sports Group, the ownership with responsibility to oversee the Liverpool rebuild. He turned it down. He shut it down in pretty quick time. He will not be coming back, nor will the former sporting director that followed Michael Edwards, Julian Ward, if the question is asked to him. There have been names linked like Richard Hughes from Bournemouth and Tim Steidten from West Ham. I don't think anyone knows at this point in time. There will be many names in the frame. Then it comes to Klopp himself. Xabi Alonso is the name on everybody's lips. There's also been links to the likes of Roberto De Zerbi, Ange Postecoglou. Again, it will be a really diligent process, and it's not a foregone conclusion that Xabi Alonso is going to come in. I think they're going to take emotion out of this. And that leads me on to who will be involved in this. Mike Gordon, of course. Also Will Spearman, who's the director of research at Liverpool. He crunches the numbers. He runs the data and analytics. That department will be key. They would have known this was coming and they will be planning for the future. And that's why we're seeing everybody leave and there's going to be a new team come in. There's also Billy Hogan, the chief executive, Jonathan Bamber, General Counsel. On the recruitment side, Barry Hunter, David Fallow. So they've got some real expertise there, and they're quite well set up. In terms of Jurgen Klopp himself, it wouldn't surprise me that after this enforced break, if he does take over at the Germany national team, they would love him to for the 2026 World Cup in the USA. And the fact that they approached him and wanted to speak to him in September when Hansi Flick left the role maybe was a sign that they felt that the end was sooner rather than later. And many of the contracts need to be sorted out as well. Virgil van Dijk, 2025, he's expiring. Mo Salah as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold. So they're about to go into their final 12 months this summer. And the fact that those haven't been addressed yet was perhaps another sign that not all was as it normally is. Final point to say, there's a documentary that's going to be filmed on Liverpool this season. It was already being planned before this news. It was formally announced today. And that's going to chart Jurgen Klopp's final season in charge, and it's going to be box office. So watch this space on that one. They couldn't have picked a better time. And this really is a story that has shaken the ground of English and world football.
David Ornstein, our Premier League insider, thanks for the insight and the context on this story.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.